Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves a track by an act named Wykil, titled Murder and Sex. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen. We're going to be listening through it from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go, let's hear the sound, man. What do we got?
I lived by their rules my entire life.
Oh, okay.
I've protected them, envied them. And for what? To be treated like an animal. We are not animals!
Damn, dude. Really sort of cinematic, dramatic, theatrical immediately off the bat with the choir vocals. Assuming that's from like a film or something like that, talking about sort of working with people being above them and then being treated badly about them or something like that, trying to sort of control them and then being the one that's sort of being marginalized. It's an interesting take on it. Just those really sort of crazy kind of sort of digital sort of synths there on the side. Great intro.
Smile, devilish demeanor. Slave or overseer.
Ooh, that's nice and loud resonant.
Sandman call me, nigga, y'all dreamers. Go ahead and sleep on me. I turn y'all into believers. Y'all just puppets. You can't say.
Damn, dude, it slaps. The vocal flow is nice and relaxed on top with the choir vocals, the bass, and the side chain drums. Very tight.
They'll cut your budget, string them up, then bring out the muskets. Ignorance of discussion, line them up.
Nice sidetracking the vocals, actually.
Cower under the whip, then fight amongst themselves.
Polish in unison.
Still living in hell. Against the house, got my money on black and they don't really like that. Murder in sex cells, we living in hell.
I love the quivering of those kicks underneath and the phrasing of those vocals. That's very distinct from what we had previously, so I assume this is probably a hook section.
Got my money on black and they don't really like that. Murder in sex cells, we living in hell. This is high stakes with assets.
Okay.
They gatekeep,
Increase in
no
intensity.
access. Murder in sex cells, we living in hell.
Oh no, we're continuing with the motif.
Assets, they gatekeep, no access. Murder in sex cells, we living in hell. I'ma bring you heaven on earth. You think she fiending for length, but she yearning for girth, struggling.
Again, like the words are coming through nice and clear. There's great sort of polish to the flow there. This is someone who knows how to work the mic.
Ass shots got her hurt and anguish. Can't figure out her worth. Her titty sticking out, put the pride in her purse. For the bag, go to me, yeah, whatever come first. Succubus, never quenching the thirst. Person in the industry, let's bring her a hearse. Too many bad bitches, not enough queens. Woman all black, Gucci on cream. Shallow thing, watch how I make her scream.
I like the repeaters that are very subtle on the sides there. It adds a lot of depth to the track and fills in the space nicely really well.
Said don't gas up, but I'm using self-esteem. Against the house, got my money on black and they don't really like that.
Minimal sort of arrangement. That fighting amongst ourselves part, I feel as if it might sort of be arguing a little bit for attention from the main vocals there. So that's really the only slight little
we living in hell.
bit of thing that's perturbs me at the moment.
Black and they don't really like that. Murder in sex cells, we living in hell. This is high stakes with assets. They gatekeep, no access. Murder in sex cells, we living in hell. This is high stakes with assets. They gatekeep, no access. Murder in sex cells, we living in hell.
And we're just letting it fade out. Murder in sex cells, we're living through hell, or we're living in hell. Yeah, I mean, I think this track is about the depravity of everyday life, how people have sort of like, or at least that's perception of that, you know? People making themselves into products and objects in order to be used and gain worth. Is this what you want? Yup. Nice little vocal cut there on the sides there. Very poignant. Is this just working it out near the end?
Cowering beneath the whip. And then fighting amongst ourselves.
Again, it's fantastic to have that much energy in the kick, but for it to not be too ferocious, it kind of seems like it's struggling and wriggling and writhing underneath the surface.
And then fighting amongst ourselves.
Great little bit of development there with that additional lead synth on top. Very happy with that. No, fantastic work there. It finishes really, really quickly there. It's just in and out, you know? It's really, really cognizant of the time it has here, and there's absolutely no messing around. Because this is the conclusion of my review of Murder and Sex by Wykil. I enjoyed my time with it. The story, I think, is about the interactions with people, commentary on being under the whip but fighting with each other, you know, murdering each other. Kind of people sort of in the rat race and tearing each other apart just to climb a little bit up the ladder. And talking about the human condition and how sort of depraved and sort of screwed up things are on certain occasions. And I kind of like the aim there. I kind of like the sort of the angle they were going for there from a storytelling perspective. I think there'll be people that can relate to that and sort of vibe with this track, you know. People who either see themselves as above that stuff, or people who can relate to going through that struggle and want to sort of like, you know, sort of like learn something from it. I think that the way that it's carried with the intensity of the story is also carried well by the intensity of vocals. We're living through hell. I like the polish and the attention to detail from Wykil in this track, Murder and Sex. He's emoting well, really appropriately for the story. It's very matter of fact, very assertive. There's lots of variation in the different rhythms that he's putting forth and spitting on the mic, which I appreciate as well, because it makes it more interesting for the listener when there's variety there, as long as it makes sense with the other parts of the arrangement, and as long as it's performed well. And we didn't have any issues with the performance there. The words came through clearly. Everything seemed really nicely connected and polished, and I'm very happy for it, especially as a first impression. Well done to Wykil for that. I think that his performance as well, in regards to knowing how to sort of slightly alter his vocals for the different verse parts as well as make it more distinct in the chorus, was great too, as it helped to further sort of like cement each perspective into its own. And I like the fact that we had the backing vocals as well, the little sort of sample parts here to add further context to the story and help flesh it out. The theme behind it with the choir vocals, the drums and the sort of sub bass there tied into those kicks, alongside the different vocal parts and the chops on the sides of yip parts, I think it was really clever. It wasn't super saturated or overdone. There was about 4 or 5 main bits max at each section, which were nicely staged in different parts of the frequency spectrum. And I think that's just really efficient composition. Like, if you want to have presence with your vocals, which we did have that, the vocals were easy, you know, to hear and understand in the mix. And partly because the harmony, the performance wasn't too sort of like overcomplicated. It's not to say it was basic, not at all. There was, especially even from the starting point, like things would like, we had the guy talking and things would like stop suddenly, then you know, we had some sort of trappish brass there, which was a great sort of shift there. I enjoyed that. You know, there was enough in this track to keep us all excited and entertained, and especially just the tension and the drama with it, the darkness in some of those minor parts. The trepidation that follows nicely alongside the themes in the story and the vocal performance, everything was stylistically cohesive and really really pleasing to listen to. I really enjoy it when musicians understand that you've got to sort of connect those key components together so that everything works well together and meshes. So great stuff. The production, recording, mixing and mastering of this track at 3.5 minutes. I mean, like, the structure of it alone with the sort of verse and chorus section was great, and there was nice seamless transitions there, especially with that intro at the start as well, and bits of dynamic range with the sample vocals as a sub layer to everything else. Even though I wasn't initially sure if the band screaming, they're fighting amongst ourselves in the chorus line, were like too close to each other in the stereo field. But I mean, aside from that, the production, recording, mixing, mastering is utterly spectacular. Nice quality cueing and filtering to the vocals on top of, you know, the kicks, the synth, the brass, the bass, different vocal parts, etc. Nice and wide in the stereo field with little chops and different repeaters and stuff that came along as another sub layer. Really great amount of depth to this track in regards to the leveling with the main and sub layers there. You know, no weird resonant frequencies in the frequency spectrum. It was great to have, again, dynamic range and change the perceived loudness between the various parts. There was nice use of sort of stopping and starting things, taking different instruments away to sort of like add sort of focus on different parts of like the highs or the mids or the lows, which kept things entertaining as well, with the vocals being the constant, as well as some other parts of the motif. And the limiting compression was nice and loud with that pumping. And I mean, this is effectively my review of Murder and Sex by Wykil. Hopefully you enjoyed it. You know, as a first impressions, again, I'm really happy with it. So I would recommend you go check out their various social medias and their Spotify page if you want to hear more. And stay cool and stay safe. Please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time. It's either hell more than ever. And I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.